Welcome to the Hope Project. I'm Reverend Sandra Campbell. Yesterday we had a magnificent time at PETER CRUMP Elementary School. I was trying to show you the sign behind me. Well, I read my book, Martin and the Struggle of Hope, and we did what we do. We went into that school and we created an experience that those children and teachers will never forget. Behind me, I've got pictures of landmarks here in the city of Montgomery because I allowed that to be the focus of my storytelling, and I used my projector and did a digital reading there in the cafeteria of the entire second grade. So I knew I was going to have a young audience. Therefore, we decided to focus on landmarks, and it was really a big hit. A landmark is a place on the landscape that sticks out, or that, is significant because something important happened there, or something historical happened there. If that's the case, you will see a marker like this black one behind me, and they're literally all over this city because Montgomery, Alabama is a very historical city. And this is a replica of Rosa Parks' marker on Dexter Avenue at the opposite end from the church. And you will see that we have a model of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church where Dr. King preached, and a model of the state capitol. Why was the state capitol significant? Because during the Civil War, Montgomery was the cradle of the Confederacy. And 100 years later, during the landmark event known as the bus boycott, after Mrs. Rosa Parks wouldn't give up her seat, laws were changed right here in the state capital of Alabama. Okay, well, also in the book, I talk about another very historic street here in Montgomery, and that street is South Jackson Street. And behind me are models of houses that are in my book. This particular big majestic blue and white house is in my book. It belongs to a good friend of mine, Mrs. Rebecca Hobart, and her family. And it's significant in history because during the 1940s and 1950s, Miss Rosa Parks lived there with her husband when she first got married, because back then black people couldn't rent, hotel rooms. And so they lived in this house, and this house was rented out in the Great Centennial Hill community. It was almost like a gated community. It was a self-contained community where they had their own college, which was Alabama State University. Back then it was known as ASC, or Alabama State College for Negroes. Okay? And also at the other end of Dexter Avenue is this building, the Benmore Hotel. And this is where Dr. King would go and get his hair cut at Malden Brothers Barbershop. And it's still on South Jackson Street today. Also, many of the marchers would line up on South Jackson Street at the Benmore Hotel, and they would march downtown to the state capitol. Therefore, Montgomery is just full of history, and all of these buildings and places are represented in my book. And the students enjoyed it so much. Their eyes were just popping as they looked at the landmarks. And then once I began reading my book on the big screen, they were able to recognize and connect with those landmarks. So I enjoyed my time at PETER CRUMP Elementary, and I hope to go back soon. People started coming out of their pockets buying books. It was amazing. I autographed books to people's grandchildren. on yesterday. So it was just a beautiful experience. And, they were a gracious host to the Hope Project. And I was able to talk about my nonviolence platform, WIN, Walk Away, Inform an Adult, and Network. If you look at that compound word, the first word is net. That is the adults, the teacher, your parents, the principal, the counselor, law enforcement. They form a net around you so that you're no longer bullied or cyberbullied. So it's so important to report that. And remember to win. Walk away, inform an adult, and network. Let your team handle it. There's a 1-800 number for bullying in the school system because that's our take on nonviolence. We have a no tolerance for bullying, platform. Well, I am going to make some posts so that you can know more about my visit to PETER CRUMP and the people and the children and the lives that I touched there. God bless.